80 quid labour for a fence and like, I don't know, 10 grand for bloody timber, it was worth just doing it. Right. This was a last minute addition. Pretty much did it like a week before it went on sale. Things like this, you know, they can add up if you sort of, like I haven't fenced all the way through there. I put the Amazon 30 quid bamboo rolls like right there. But little things like this, when it comes to buyers, makes a big difference, because if they see this, you don't want them thinking, oh, what if there's like legal land issues? You can't live here and not be interested in the outdoors and like not be interested in plants to an extent. So because of that, you know, I've kind of given you a blank slate, we're going to call it, what the agent calls it. Well, I was going to get them to quote, but yeah, they just couldn't be bothered basically. So I think those are called Norfolk tiles in the middle. Can you see they got that kind of pattern on them. They're not cheap, they crack really easily, but I think they look really nice. And this is another thing that I suppose me and the neighbour were talking about. It's like, do we put a new roof on for, I don't know what he was going to charge, like 5k or something like that, all in, maybe 6k? And actually, I personally wouldn't, because this is part of the character and the charm that this property kind of gives you. Well, both of them actually. I mean, the Welsh slate is, I suppose, more common, but the one at the top is, you know, more of a historical kind of item compared to the slate. The slate is fairly common now. You know, there were some holes and there are a few, but they're not causing issues, but there were a few which were kind of like patched up with cement and blah, blah, blah. So I'm paying for 4 timbers for the same height as 2. What are we doing? So, just be very specific, yeah, because each timber, they used to be 32 quid, they're now 42, and now, I don't know what they're, ridiculous. So, just, you know, be careful when you're like speccing things, because that kind of being slightly off, that being slightly off, that basically adds up to thousands, and then your profit gets eaten into. But again, something like this is a subtle, nice feature. I had like the most viewings this agency's ever had on my property in Swansea, right? It was beautiful. The pictures were like incredible, yeah? But you got there and there were just so many issues, and the finish wasn't right and this wasn't right. That wall wasn't plastered, it was only sanded, but you know.
You got to be like, it's got to be pristine.
100%.
Sell it, it's got to be ready for someone to pay that premium.
And builders don't get that. And that kind of mismatch can be hard to explain. And it can be hard to kind of get across, because you're saying, well, I need it like this, and they're saying, well, it's done. You're like, no, but you have to pick your battles, basically, right? As much as we want to have it a top property and, you know, have it, you have to kind of pick your battles and say, okay, what's the point? No one's listening to me. That gap between the timbers pisses me off.
Yeah.
Why is it like that? And it's not even square. Because,
you say squares in what?
as in, so like basically, you know, almost like just perfectly sort of on top, okay, and at a flat level, right? Which is, you know, a lot of first-time buyers, they don't want to do DIY. They don't want, I mean, they'll paint if they want to paint, anyone can paint. But, you know, they don't want to have to do stuff. They want to just say, okay, we're moving, get our furniture, and that's it. That's what we're here for. It's just the gutter and that's it. There's nothing else. And it's only because, obviously, he's doing his, and there's only one downpipe, which is a very long run. So he just said, Tej, I'll just do yours as well, because you're not going to pay for it. I was like, no. And he's like, I'll do it. So, yeah, I don't, it's hard to look back when it kind of worked out okay. I just would have been more site visits. That's what I would have done.
How often did you come? Was it like once a week?
Once or twice a week. I would come when something was done. Right. So, okay, is the kitchen fitted? Cool, I'm coming. Have we done the mist coat? I did that myself. We're coming. So whenever there was a milestone, that's when I would come. This many refurbs, you just get, and you don't really enjoy the refurb stage like that, you just get sick of them and you're like, you know what, agent, take your 1% or whatever it is. The agents were, like, listen, I have never been chased so much, yeah? Even my own girlfriend's never chased me this much, yeah? For anything. These agents were belling me every hour. I also knew in the back of my head, yeah, the market's mad. And I knew if I sell it in this market, we're gonna get a mad price. But I just didn't expect it to double the profit, like, because it's just naughty, innit? It just doesn't make any sense.
So when they made their offer on the property, did they actually accept what it was listed for?
Well, they went above it. It was on 270, I think. And then they went 275 straight away. Wow. And then went 280 to secure it. Even though I didn't do what they asked, they still were like, yeah, 280. They are literally in love with it. The agent was like, Tej, they literally, like, they can't get over it. And everything else is above it. Yeah. And the new builds are above it. Yeah. The new builds are above it. It's a bargain, if you think about it, right? But that's how funny the property market is. Because if it was backwards and there were things selling for cheap, then I would be making less.
Mentality is always like the past. It doesn't matter about the past hugely.
Yeah. Value is what someone will pay for it, right?
Yeah, real estate.
That's what it is. Yeah, exactly. These young people, TikTok and all that on this. You know, and again, it doesn't cost much, and I'll talk you through. You know, Bosch oven, yeah, it costs double. That's a lot more. One of you said last time to put a porch in, but I think it takes away from the beauty of the door, because it is a very nice door. But and actually, damp, right? Well, when you get in there, you'll see it. But can you see the two kind of green? I don't know what they're called. Splashes, kind of there.
Yeah.
It's clearly that, and the marks are there. Literally, the marks are there. You don't get more obvious. Like of a, so I know definitely we're talking about damp, and the mastermind. That's obvious, right? Like that is just that's the problem. And when you combine it with the old mortar, and there's probably some holes in it, and the old brick, it's just point blank. That's the